We did the best of, and we just had a bit of time to think. And yes, of course, we reflected because yeah, we had like the old songs were playing and stuff. I think we just realised we wanted to be quite ourselves and individual, and I think that there's a lot of pressure. There's been a lot of pressure of this kind of homogeny of music, and I think that everything sounds the fucking same, and it's so boring. I think that when you have this kind of culture of like, let's like have the same 10 songwriters write every hit, it's really key now more than ever to be really individual, and I think that we are an individual band, and we sound like us. We're a guitar band. We are all about chemistry and emotion, and I think it was really important to do that. And I think that's what we did. I really do. And yeah, so like rather than going down the let's use, like I say, we would use more collaging, using synths and loads, like huge banks of backing vocals and soundscape stuff and drum loops. We went, well, let's make a band record, and that's what we are. To me, we're the custodians of like British band music, and that's what we should be. And I think that's where we landed, and it suits us, and it felt great trying to do that, or just not trying.
And you mentioned being custodians of British band music.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's interesting because I also read a quote where you said when you started writing this album, or when you thought about this album, you wanted to have your own Rubber Soul or your own Definitely Maybe. So that quintessential British music, do you think that's in a way gone a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. But it's all gone. I mean, I think there's, don't get me wrong, I think there is great music, but I just think that you've got to reinvent these things. I mean, you can't just be like, okay, I want to do Rubber Soul, but it's got to be modern. But I think that people aren't creative enough, and I think that we wanted to be doing something. We wanted to be doing something where we're fresh and doing what we want to do, and we're 2018, but we're also keeping the tradition of like actually crafting the songs, and like I say, things like chemistry are really important. Playing in a room together, that's really important, and I think that it's easy to say, but yeah, I mean, there's very few people out there doing it, man, and I think that when you listen to the radio and every song does sound the same, it just does, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's the same producers, and they're not even producers, they're DJs. They're fucking DJs, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, cool, yeah, I mean, they do great stuff, but it's like, why does everything have to be that? I think you're going to see a big change in that, and I hope we're a small part of that. I'm not saying everyone's got to pick up guitars at all. I'm not saying that. It might not be guitars, but there are, there's great bands, there's like, 1975 doing a fucking great thing, you know what I mean? You got like Catfish and the Bottom End doing a great thing, and there are great bands, okay? But there's not enough, and there's not enough, probably sub pop, and we're, I think of us as we make big tunes hopefully, and but there's probably more room for that, and I think that British music was built on that, of going against the grain, and I think it's time for an album like what we're bringing out, which is basically like like I say, we're unashamedly going like, here, this is a British rock and roll band doing their thing, and then we're not trying to like give you, Calvin Harris's next single. We're not trying to do that,